What's going on, guys? It's Nico. Welcome to the Cigar, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of premium cigars, talking with movers and shakers who shape the industry. Each episode, we bring you some exclusive conversations with cigar lounge owners, brand creators, and manufacturers who craft the cigars we know and love. From blending secrets to the business behind the smoke, we uncover the stories that truly make this industry unique and legendary. I got Cody here over at Kentucky Gentlemen. Cody's a master, of cigars. He's been working in the industry for practically his whole life. So, Cody, while I got you on the line, man, I want you to just kind of introduce yourself and give the audience a little bit of background on who you are and what you do.
My name's Cody Mobley. I'm owner and family member of the Mobley family who started Kentucky Gentlemen Cigar Company. It's been a family business from the core. My mother and my father started together, but it was kind of as a hobby and more or less a joke at first. My dad liked bourbon, liked cigars, so they were on a fishing trip, and it was kind of just brought in like passing. And they're like, it'd be really cool if you started a cigar company because your family's been in tobacco more for the cigarette and dip and chew side of it, snuff, things like that. Maybe you can use that knowledge and your love of bourbon and you can try and mix the two. So my dad pondered on that and he went down and learned at a place called Babalu's at Austin, Texas. Learned how to roll, but they kind of just teach you how to roll. They don't teach you
Now,
blending and things
Bubbaloo's,
like.
Cody, what is that exactly?
So they're their own cigar company, but they also have demonstrations daily,
Got
where
it.
you can pay to go there for a week or two, and they'll teach you the whole rolling process. You'll sit down with their rollers, and they'll teach you step by step.
Wow.
And you
So
can pay them to
that's
do
how
that as a
kind of you
class.
guys started, and then when did you guys get into the pairing of bourbon and cigars?
2008. So the way that happened is Dad just got his hand on his own barrel from an undisclosed person, and he started aging tobacco in there. He aged it, kept aging it, tried each month, aged it a little longer, tried some more until he got to a point where he thought it'd be best in that blend. He took those cigars and then went straight to Buffalo Trace. And he was like, I have this idea. What do you think? I would like to make these for you. I think would set the cigar market by storm, and it's totally different. They said, okay, we want 3,000 of them. We weren't technically making a lot of cigars at this point. We were just rolling for our customers and friends and family. We had the cigar shop. We weren't doing like mass production. So my dad taught me, my sister, my mom's mother, so my grandma, we all learned how to roll, and then we just started learning to roll cigars in about 6 months to a year. About 2009, we came out with the Buffalo Trace cigar and then Blanton's right after that. So that's when the
Which
four
is
different
huge,
Blantons.
man. And yeah, I've worked in the industry for quite some time, and I've heard from a lot of the folks, man. You guys are one of the first families to really mainstream bourbon barrel infused cigars. And now they've become a really big niche. A lot of people try and do it DIY at home, which we'll kind of touch on that a little bit more in this interview, man. So that's a pretty cool, unique story. So how long have you guys been in the business for then?
Essentially, we established in 2005, but I guess doing full stream business would be around 2008, 2010. So it took about 5 years to really get up and going. Because there's not like how to start a cigar 101 for dummies. You have no idea other than to do it wrong over and over again. So just figuring out ways like that, and then realizing what blends really didn't work and what did work. So our cigars probably were real average at first until we really could become master blenders and rollers and actually have something that was worth smoking with trial and error. But with the bourbon side of it is that was kind of frowned upon at first. Like, oh, you can't, they would say flavor
Right.
or infuse tobacco. And it's like, we're not changing the tobacco. We're enhancing it to be more than what it was before, not taking anything away from that, but you can also look at it. But it also helps take impurities out of tobacco. It smooths out the blends, whether it's mild, medium, or full body. So there's a lot it does, adds more flavor that wouldn't be there. Maybe it's oak, maybe it's char. It's kind of different for the person. People would think it might become sweeter. Some people think it might become stronger. So that's all just because of the barrel. So that's 10, 15, 20 different notes you can get. And that's just because it sits in a barrel And most of our tobacco is 5 years old even before it hits the barrel, so that just gives it a little bit of extra age, and nothing goes wrong with extra age on
Yeah,
a stick.
and one of the things that I've always been curious about is, right, in the world of cigars, everyone's palate's a little bit different. So when it comes down to like the pairing process of bourbon, and cigars and tobacco, is there something in particular you're looking at in terms of pairing the two items together?
So I'm kind of different than most people, but especially for the distilleries, if they want me to taste their bourbon that's been out even far long than we've been around, and some of them been around since pre-prohibition. I don't want a cigar to take away from those flavor notes they're trying to
Right,
get you to get out of the bourbon. So most people would say light cigar, light bourbon. I'm saying polar opposite. Because if you have a light cigar and a light bourbon, they're kind of giving similar notes. If you look at their
right.
flavor wheels, they have a lot of similar pairing note. Well, if you go medium for a light bourbon or you go a heavy bourbon and a light cigar, you're still going to know exactly what each of those flavor profiles you're getting out of both of them, and they're not contradicting each other. So if it's a 100 proof and above, I say go medium to mild. If it's 100 proof and below, you go medium to full.
That
Or if
makes
it's
complete
a
sense, man.
light beer, you go dark cigar. Dark beer, you go medium to light cigar.
You've sent me a couple sticks. I got one of those Blanton samples, exceptional cigar. I think what you guys do is really unique, and it's not something that a lot of companies in the cigar industry specialize in. It's really niche, but we've definitely seen with our statistic that niche continue to grow. Would you guys say at the lounge? I mean, it's a big percentage outside of the, I don't know how many cigars you guys produce. I've taken a look at your website. There's hundreds. Would you guys say those are some of the biggest movers for you, the barrel infused ones?
Definitely for tourism, for sure. But when you get into a lot of your connoisseurs or people that smoke all the time, they definitely want something more of your, I want to say your typical blends, but they either want Dominican, Nicaraguan, Honduran. They know exactly
Right.
what they like, or they're like, I like this cigar. Let's just say La Gloria Cubana. So they like Dominican tobacco, but they like more of a Habano wrapper or Rosado wrapper. So you would give them something like that. So with them knowing what they like, I have plenty of cigars to offer that are similar. But that's probably the biggest competition you see is uh, as a lounge, we're probably one of the only lounge, at least on my side, that only carries their exclusive cigars. Nobody else.
Oh,
So
wow. So you
I'm
guys,
not promoting
yeah,
for David Off or Drew Estates or Rocky Patel. This strictly, you can bring your own cigars.
right.
We totally promote that, but
It's
we
awesome,
have
man.
50 different options, but it's our house blends and our line and labeling that you can get there.
I didn't know you guys only carried your in-house lines. Have you guys always done that, or was that something that you guys transitioned to?
Yeah, we've always done that. So as a Kentucky Gentlemen Cigar Company, we've always just offered our blend. So we're called Kentucky Gentlemen Cigar Company, and it's not like a cigar store. So most people have a conception like brick and mortar carries a variety of cigars. Well, we wanted to be different than the traditional brick and mortar. But a lot of things we've strived, and that's kind of a part of marketing, and we'll touch on that further conversation. But we don't put our cigars in brick and mortar. So I try and be exclusive as possible. So if you get my cigars, you know you either got it from my website or my X amount of distributors, and I could tell you which distributor and where you got it from based off where you're at.
Yeah.
So I wanted to
And
keep it very
I was
exclusive.
going through your site, man. You guys have a wide selection of cigars. I mean, how many different cigars are you currently carrying at this point?
Full time, that's not kind of like limited or stuff that comes and goes. About 45.
45 different blends or Vitolas in general.
That's Vitolas, but probably blend wise, we're probably about 20, 25 different blends.
Incredible, man. That's awesome. Well, I wanted to also discuss with you. I mean, I know you've been in the business for a long time. Did you personally do anything before working in the cigar industry?
So I did, my parents wanted me to get a regular work experience besides working for a family business. So I worked at Cracker Barrel, McDonald's, simple things like that. But I worked in the tobacco field with some friends who still grew it, hay, milk cows, things like that. Took care of beef cows as well. So you understand like tender and care that you have to take for an animal. So that kind of goes hand in hand with the tobacco field and cigar.
Right.
There's a lot of history that goes behind it. There's a lot of culture that goes behind it, and a lot of that gets untold unless you're amongst the people in the fields, whether it's the dairy farm beef, cows, or tobacco. There's a lot of
Yeah.
history in it. So it kind of goes hand in hand, and it's hard work regardless of which it is. But they do it because it's been in their family forever. Their grandpa did it, their great grandfather did it. So there's reasons to do it besides financial gain for a lot of these families.
Yeah. And I think in Kentucky specifically, because I know they do have tobacco agriculture out there, it's not directly, directed into the cigar industry most of the times. Most of the tobacco production out there, what is it normally for, like
Like,
cigarettes or?
yeah, burley for cigarettes, snuff, dip, chew.
Yeah.
And then there is tobacco that's native to Kentucky that gets used in cigars, more popular now than it used to be, fire cured. We do grow some broadleaf as well,
Yeah. Yeah.
Kentucky broadleaf. But that's more of your fuller body stuff. That's not for all your
Do you
smokers.
guys do any specific cigars with, some Kentucky tobacco, or did they?
So we don't we kind of do both. So we have Kentucky native tobacco in certain cigars like the fire cured Kentucky
Yeah.
broadleaf,
Yeah.
but we also have different country native leaf, Dominican, Nicaraguan, Honduras, uh, Brazilian, but we grow it here. We've also grow Cuban seed in Kentucky. So we have a Kentucky Cuban. So it's Cuban seed that we brought from Cuba, but grew it to Kentucky. So now it's native here. So it's a completely different flavor profile being grown in the soil, but it's still the same seed you would have in your traditional Cubans pre-embargo.
That's incredible, man. I mean, it's there's a lot of countries that are stepping into cigar production. And it's cool that you guys have been able to preserve a little bit of the culture here in the States, because back in the day, the States did used to produce a lot of tobacco for cigars. And I think we've kind of moved away from that a little bit. Um, Now, working in the cigar space as long as you guys have been in this industry, what are some of the challenges you guys have faced on the advertising side for your lounge and what you guys do, but also the success you guys have had advertising and marketing tobacco? I know you guys, are very traditional with, your guys' outreach approach, and you really do a phenomenal job building relationships with your clients. So, wanted to have you shed some light on how you guys market your company.
Honestly, as amazing as a company over the years has been and family, our customers is really what Boast does year after year, whether it's new customers or existing customers, their word of mouth, them posting on social media, getting it for a friend or family, ordering boxes for friends or family. They really push that because we have once people order how they hear about us, and it's always friends or Facebook or some community or group. So it's really our fans of the company and the people who are smoker stuff that really promote us. But being in Frankfort and Kentucky, the cool thing about that is we have a lot of history with tobacco. So there's a grandfather law in Frankfurt that if 70% of your business is tobacco related, they cannot tell you you're not allowed to smoke in your establishment. So you don't
Wow.
have to get a smoking license as long as it's okay with
Yeah,
the owner of the
touch on that a little bit, right? Because we've had some clients that curious about setting up a shop in Kentucky, and there's some interesting laws out there, I guess, with the tobacco
building.
retailer's license. Can you go into a little bit more depth on that?
So in Kentucky, just to sell cigars, like as a retailer, as long as you have a retail license, you don't have to have a tobacco license to sell cigars in the state of Kentucky. But uh, not everybody, depending on county, has that grandfather smoking law. So we're just lucky because of Frankfurt being the capital. There's a lot of politics in there. Some of Frankfurt used to be um, like divided. Only this side of town had the smoking ban. This side of town didn't, and all that was just because of politics. So all the lawyers, all the congressmen, all the representatives could still smoke, drink, etc.
Right. Well, that's a pretty interesting, man, because I've had some clients, that have come to us asking about the particular laws in Kentucky relative to tobacco, and this you hit it on the money earlier in the podcast. There's not really many resources on how to start a cigar brand. There's also barely as many resources on how to do it legally. So every state is a little bit different in their jurisdiction, and Kentucky is one of those states where it's like the wild Midwest, man. There's not a lot of resources online to figure that out. Um, So Cody, we touched on Blanton's a little bit and some of your other lines that you've had the opportunity to work on with your clients. I love the Blanton line. I think what you guys have done with that is truly exceptional.
Yes,
We've
sir.
had the opportunity to help with the Bandz, which is really, really cool. And you've created an exceptional, unique product offering. But I got to ask, man, out of all the projects you guys have worked on in the last 20 years, what has been your absolute favorite project that you've completed?
Mm. Originally, probably for the golf world, there's a famous golf course designer. His name's Pete Dye. That was probably one of the first ones that we did that was really cool as far as history, just the tradition behind it and cigars, golf, things like that. Right now, I don't know, blending some of the cigars for our 20th anniversary this year was pretty
Blanton's is
fun.
the 20th.
Or for just us as the company,
Oh, 20 for you
KGC, it's
guys.
our 20 years.
Congratulations, man.
So we've got some vintage tobacco that we've been aging for 20 years.
Wow.
So we're going to release some pretty vintage sticks. And then some, as my mom being a female owner in the cigar space, uh, she's only one of like 12 women cigar owners in all of the cigar space. So we're having a cigar that supports her and what she's been doing in the cigar industry since we started as well. But right now, we're working on a special blend for Angel's Envy. I can't really talk too in depth about it, but it's a barrel that's been aged in a tequila barrel and an ajo barrel.
Look at
So it's a
that.
bourbon tequila blended whiskey.
Wow. And do you guys dabble around with other things outside of bourbon and whiskey? Because I know people are getting into like pairing with like rum and
Yep.
tequila sorts. So
So we did a tequila
or,
one. We're doing a wine
oh,
blend
that's
right now.
interesting.
So we got some tobacco aged in a wine barrel.
Mm,
Yeah, we've done cognac, vodka. That's the one that really doesn't work very well. I'm I'm sure somebody else could do it, but
vodka.
it just has a weedy existing flavor that doesn't kind of
Right.
go away. Maybe if that's something you're looking for, that's a different flavor profile than you get from cigars, but it tastes like
Yeah, yeah.
straight wheat.
Yeah. Everyone's palate's different, man.
Yep.
That's one of the things that I realized working in the cigar production space, man. It's hard to pinpoint what a single person will like. Um, and one of the things that I noticed on your social media and stood out. I mean, I saw some time back. I mean, you guys were working. Were you vending at the Kentucky Derby, or you guys
Yeah,
do something?
so we did it a little bit different. So like to touch back in marketing. So you already have Rocky Patel, Fuente, Prodromo. They're all already got booths inside the Derby. They pay
Right.
$10,000 for the spot there. They got 3, 4 booths, but there's so many people in there.
It's
Well,
probably insane, huh?
we reversed that and we set up and paid a local business to set up a tent outside of where everybody went in to go to the Derby. So we got everybody leaving, going,
Yeah.
the buses dropping them off. So we kind of got everybody before they even got the cigars inside.
Right.
So we were doing that for probably 12, 15 years, and then they
Wow.
changed how the side they took all the sidewalks out. So that's how we were able to do it. City couldn't say anything to us because we were on a private sidewalk. So we did the Derby forever. So that used to be one of our biggest events. But we probably do about 50 events a year, do the state
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
We do barbecue festival, blues and jazz festivals. Sometimes like little small arts and crafts because we're a craft fair does really, really good. Christmas shows.
Yeah, I've noticed that, man. I always see you guys popping out to different events. I mean, I think it's really cool. You always send me some pictures at weddings and things like that.
Yep.
Do you enjoy that segment of the business? I always say the cigar industry is really unique in the sense that it's one of the only industries that's really preserved its true culture. And when you want to sell someone a cigar, right, you're literally sitting down with the person smoking a cigar. So like the event business for the most part thrives in this industry because it's a little bit more traditional. So being the fact that you guys do 50 events, I mean, that's not your main business model
Mm-hmm.
per se. You guys have a lounge, but is that something that you would say is really beneficial as a brand owner to kind of funnel business into what you guys normally do?
Yeah, I feel like that's like our version of free advertising or paying for advertising. All the eyes you can get there, you normally can't get. And even as a cigar booth, you're only getting a certain percentage of the eyes anyways. But a way I think about it, the men and even women smoke cigars, but the husbands smoke the cigar, the women's are the ones out looking and buying stuff for. So that's how I can get repeat customers. The women get the brochure, they order for their husband, brother, uncle, the football coach. That's how you get repeat business, in my opinion, is those type of events. But that's how you can get your eyes in surrounding counties that your business may or may not be in. The big, especially around us, the bigger areas, Louisville, Lexington, there's way more outreach in those areas, and maybe our clientele is more in those areas too. So you just keep popping around, so people always hear your name. I'll be from one end of the state to the other, like, oh yeah, I know you. I saw you here. I saw you here, and I'm
Right.
3-4 hours away from where I was the last time they saw me. But you're just getting your name around everywhere, just people seeing you over and over again.
Yeah, I think within our own businesses, man, like doing events is one of the things that we've neglected the last year. I mean, we have a lot of business owners that we're partnered with that pretty much just specialize in that. And it seems to be really beneficial. I mean, they have some big time cigar events. I think TRP, one of them is going on. You have PCA. I know Puro de Sabor just happened over in Nicaragua. Um, do you guys attend any of those big cigar events? It seems like you guys stay in your lane, with like your events, and you guys kind of host your own things, at least based upon
So when
what
we
it looks
first
like.
started, we really wanted to be at all those shows, get our name out, have people have our cigars. And once we got so big, we kind of just stopped because in some of those shows, they want to take more than they want to show you love in return.
Right.
So a lot of things we want to work with people who want to work with us. And if I have to turn down 4 people to work with only 2 really, really good people, I'd rather build with those 2 really good people. And I think I can make something better out of than working with those 4 over there that I may or may have not missed out on. So in 2011, we won Best Small Booth at the ICPR show. We bought the distillery barrels out. We brought the cigars. They said we had the best booth. So after that, we never thought we could even accomplish something like that. So kind of from that point on, we kind of stopped going and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And after that time, they started slowly getting less and less popular and busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
COVID really took a hit, man, especially to the event business, man. I
now
don't think
this
things have
year, they're
recovered.
having the ICPR show in New Orleans, and it hasn't been there since 2011 or 2013.
Right.
So I think that'll be a big one just for that. So we'll be there this year. So we're going to bring some of the ambassador out from the distilleries. We're going to bring them out, hand out merch. So we're pretty much just going to be booming out with the merchandise of the branded cigars for all the distilleries. Can we all do 10 different distilleries at this point?
That's awesome. Yeah, I know a lot of people that are watching this will probably be attending that event, so that'd be cool. While you're out there, you can connect with some of the viewers. And I mean, you got the Bourbon Trail out in Kentucky, man. I mean, I don't know. I've never been out to Kentucky. I tell you all the time, it's on my bucket list of things to
Yes,
do.
sir.
We're gonna go out there and have a full day of drinking drinking bourbon. But
Plenty of that.
how many distilleries? And I know those guys all do events. Like, how many distilleries are out there, man? I mean,
Man, if I had to guess, I would be wrong. But just known distilleries that everybody knows about, I think there's probably like 150 on the Bourbon Trail.
wow. And you guys work with a decent bit, man, of
Yeah.
them.
So,
So
uh, the thing about the Bourbon Trail is you don't have to pay. I mean, you pay to be on the Bourbon Trail, but just because you're on the Bourbon Trail doesn't mean uh, you're a big distillery or they just help you bring business
right.
in and they get a cut of the business they bring to you.
Got
So
it.
you only have to pay to be on the Bourbon Trail. It's not
Oh,
like they
so
just
it's like
put
a
you.
pay to play type thing, right?
Yes.
That makes sense.
So you get on their the distillery list, you get on the tour list, they'll give you signs.
Now, how many big ones would you say there actually are out there?
Around me, there's probably 5 to 10.
5 to 10, right?
You
And
got
then you
Buffalo
just gotta
Trace, you got Woodford Reserve, Four Roses, Wild Turkey, and that's just a few. Jim Beam.
wow. but there's over 150, huh? That's
Yeah.
insane, and most of them are
As
probably just
home
mom
are
and pop.
micro distilleries and some of them are big, but sometimes there's like 4 different companies in one distillery because they bottle for people as well.
Right, you got your private label co-packers out
Exactly.
there, yeah. Yeah,
Exactly.
I've noticed a lot of synergy between that industry and cigars. It seems like a
Yup.
lot of people cross over, because the patterns and consumer adoptions, quite similar. Like even, with us, I mean, we work with a lot of guys in the bourbon industry as well that wanna start their own cigar lines, so,
Because they're already
that
smoking a cigar while they're, sipping on the bourbon, so they want their label to at least be on the cigar while they're
Yeah,
sitting with
yeah.
their friends.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta pair the 2, together, man. So, Cody, I wanted to ask you a really important question. I mean, we manufacture Bandz. We're one of the leading producers of
Yes,
cigar
sir.
bands here in the States. What's your opinion on brand aesthetics compared to the actual blend of tobacco itself?
I mean, the band sells it before they even smoke it. They can believe your story or the history or the age all you want, but the band is what draws them first. They'll ask you further on the blend after that, but I mean, that's the opening cover of your book essentially. Once they get reading in your book, then they'll dissect the notes. But that's your storyteller right there. And it's funny because what people don't really understand is bands technically didn't even start for a marketing purpose. It was so that the smell and the toxins
Right.
won't get on the fingers because it was a high-end thing to
Yeah.
do, so they didn't want their
Yeah.
fingers to
Back when
smell.
people used to wear gloves, huh?
Exactly. So I was like, and now it's marketing, but a cool thing, and I'm glad you brought it up. One thing that I think is going to be really important that I want to start doing, and that might be my favorite thing I'm doing this year, is I'm trying to resurrect old pre-embargo company bands and bring that
Incredible.
color and culture to life. So I'm going to
Man,
start using bands I found, and then once they sell, remake the band with you guys and stick to the tradition. Like one's going to be called an Esquire, and but I'm going to do the blends and pay homage to these companies, but resurrect it with a new blended cigar, but have the old tradition still. So it's art in a
you
way.
you you wanna know something really interesting, right? So, like, we've been kinda able to categorize artwork into 4 different types of art, especially in the cigar band, industry. So, you have your modern minimalist, which are like, your Davidoffs, or think of Rolex, white
Hmm.
gold, premium. Then you have your more abstract bands, which are like Arturo Fuente, Rocky Patel, a lot of design intricacies and patterns. Then we do, types of projects where people are putting, like, animated characters in there. Like, I've done bands with, die cuts of, like, tigers and sharks. But one of my favorite styles, and we've kinda classified it more as, like, your old school vintage Cuban, which are, like, the portraits in the center, red and gold, really thick embossing, and more thin bands, actually.
Yep.
Like, there's been a cultural shift in brands using wider bands, but if you look at the old Cuban ones, they're actually quite small. They almost look like a small watch in a sense,
Yep.
right? So, I'm big on that style and preserving the culture. And whenever we have the opportunity to work on projects like that, it's really exciting for me, man. Because not a lot of people are doing that nowadays. They're kind of stepping away from the culture a little bit and making it a little bit more flashy. But
And that's
I'm
what
with it,
got us
man.
here. Like that's what got us to the point we're at now. Like the modern stuff's great, but you still can't forget where it all started, honestly.
Right, right. Now, with this particular project that you guys are planning on releasing, I mean, is it like a limited drop type thing, or more of like a
So it's
long
gonna
term?
I'm kinda like looking at it in like 2 different sectors. So I'm gonna do the like original drop with the bands that are like actually the pre-embargo bands. So there might be a limit of 500 or 1,000. Then when everybody buys those up, those would be the vintage, but then we'll have a re-release and that'll be the modern band,
Modern?
but
Your
still
guys' take on it?
yes. So but
Yeah, very cool.
once the original bands are gone, that's the run. But then we're gonna actually introduce it with the restyle blend, but it's still gonna be the original thought and artwork from it.
Why, you know where to find us, man. I love doing
Ex
the
Yes,
artwork.
sir.
You got a project for me, just let me know. So,
Definitely
hey,
not a
cool.
better place in the industry to go to, that's for sure.
Oh, thank you, man. Well, man, you've been in the industry for a while, and I think you have some big shoes to fill. I mean, your father is a legend in the space, man, and you've also done some incredible, remarkable things for the industry. And you're a visionary, man. You always come out with really cool ideas and concepts, and that was just one of the many that we've discussed. Um, I want to know what your 5-year game plan is for Kentucky Gentlemen. Being the fact that you pretty much are the face of this company, right now. You do a lot of the events. I know you work alongside your mom too as well, but what is your guys' game plan, man? 5 years down the line.
Honestly, one of my first things, and it's not necessarily with cigars or even the company itself, is I just want people to be more aware of Kentucky. So maybe if it's brand names and have certain cigars that is Kentucky related, historic points or things that happen. But then also I want to get more customers or smokers that are like boutique or like, it's great to have your main companies, but I want people to branch out and know that there's a lot more to the cigar industry than just the big name that
Right.
everybody
The
knows about.
monopolies.
Yes, and that you can get affordable and great cigars for different prices, and it doesn't have to be the same mold. So that's kind of what I like to do. Anything that's going to break the mold of some of the traditions of the cigar industry, I like to do. But the big thing is, I want to be more helpful to the smaller guys because we didn't have that help. So that's really important to me. I like people who
That's a
come and
big,
ask me
mission
questions.
statement. That's a big mission statement with us and kind of why we started Cigar Bandz, honestly, in the first place, man. I mean, we've worked with a handful of companies at this point, big and small, but when we launched, the idea was to really give the same level of advertising and premiumness to the bands that some of these big guys release, man. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think we've seen a pretty big shift, man. I mean, there's a good bit of boutique brands
Yep.
getting started, I think, in the cigar industry. And
Yeah, it's definitely gotten a lot because you can tell the big shows are adding the boutique sections back. They took them out for a long time, and that hurt a lot of small families that were in the industry for years when they took that out because that's how they got their merchandise out. They would fulfill yearly orders at those shows, some of them. And that
right,
would be their business for the whole year. And that hurt for a little while, but we're going back into that space. And I think that's a really good place to be in because I think it just keeps the cigar industry lasting longer when you're able to do
right.
stuff like that.
And we talk about it every now and then. I mean, man, I've driven through Kentucky when I was visiting family in Michigan, man, and I passed through some gorgeous cities. Kentucky's a really dense, area with some really rich history. You guys have one lounge location. Is there plans to potentially expand into other cities in Kentucky? And I guess my question for you is, man, even your building is built on a historic. It's a historic building, right? You
Yeah,
guys are
everything we do has to be to historic society code. So colorways, you can't change the doors. Like I can't put a garage doors and replace the windows to open up the bar. Just certain things like that has to stay traditional. But yeah, definitely want to open up another lounge. But the problem, man, and it's everywhere, is just finding people you can trust and people who actually want to work for the brand or the environment they're in. And then also being a small business, sometimes like you can't offer as much as a competitive wage as some of the commercial cigar bars and
right.
things like that. But good thing about Kentucky is there's not really, there's no big name cigar bars anywhere. Nobody puts their stamp in Kentucky. So we're really trying to find our own niches in
Yeah.
there as well. But another thing we want to do is, as a family, we've been in the industry since 2005, but our history on both sides of my mom and my dad has tobacco in it. So my mom's side, they're from Spain. They roll cigars and grew tobacco. They're called the Escalantes. My dad's side of the family in a part of Kentucky, they had the tobacco warehouses, the auction houses. They had a hotel. They would house all the people coming in for auction. So it's been a deep history even before we got into the cigar space. But now you have my brother and my nephew, Bill and Sean at Celebrity Cigars and Cigars TV.
Awesome dudes, man.
So they're expanding the history and the legacy of not just my dad, not just the family, but like it's just kind of in our blood. Maybe it's
Right.
just entrepreneurship, but it always comes full circle back into the space, whether it's bourbon and even Bill, it wasn't tobacco, but he got into flowers. He used to pick the quality of flowers for like the Rose Bowl the
Yeah, yeah.
Derby, the Macy Day
Bill
Parade,
and
the
I had a
or
one-on-one conversation, man. Bill, before I met you, Cody, I actually, Bill had reached out to me, man, and I had a couple sit downs with Bill a few times, and Sean, man, and I got the rundown of your history actually before even meeting you, and I guess somehow, I don't know if I messaged you on Instagram
man,
or
I
something.
kept seeing your ads,
Yeah,
and you guys kept posting videos, and I'm not even. I'll tell you now since we work together, but I was stealing some of your guys' content. I caught you
yeah,
like 250 followers or something like that. I was like, where's this small cigar band account finding such great quality posts? And so
yeah.
eventually I was like, I was just reposting your guys and tagging you. And then I was like, well, I'm going to order some bands from these guys. And then
Yeah.
that was
Yeah, and you
that.
know what's funny is, like, I recognized your last name when I stumbled across it. I was like, "Mobley?" I was like, I just talked with Mobley, and then I ended up getting on a call with you and then piecing the puzzle together, which I thought was really cool, man. But you guys have such a rich history, man, and you guys are a great family. I love hearing, more and more about your story every time I talk with you guys, and I'm excited to see, where you take Kentucky Gentlemen, 'cause I think you're gonna take it to new heights. I mean, being the fact that you guys are in Kentucky and you preserve the culture out there for as long as you have, and you haven't strayed away from what your brand mission is, um, that's what really matters in this space, and that's what people care about, especially the people that really care about the crop and are what we call aficionados. So a little bit on the personal side, Cody, I gotta know, man, you've been smoking probably as long as you could see. So I gotta ask you, what's your favorite, like, what's your yeah, I know people like to test out a bunch of different types of cigars, but do you have a daily cigar that you continue to go back to, or do you try different things every day?
Try different things every day, but I guess an easier way to answer is give you like my core company line. Right now, I've been on a big H. Upman kick. Um, Anything Romeo and Juliet, Monte Cristo is pretty good as well. But I'm a stickler, man. I know it might just be bragging on, us a little bit, but every time I don't smoke one of my cigars, I almost get disappointed because I feel like sometimes the depth is lacked. And even same time when I, smoke some of the farmhouse blends, it's like it's just so much more depth. And I don't know how to explain it. I can't say the flavor, I can't say what, but it's just like there's so much deeper levels to it than a one-way street that some of these cigars offer.
Yeah, and I think the biggest issue, especially on the distribution side, which I always kind of come full circle into thinking about, is like a lot of the times, big time cigar brands, there's a lot of funnels and loops that, when you're distributing your cigars go through. So a lot of the times, let's say these big cigar companies are selling to a distributor that sells to other lounges. A lot of the times, these distributors don't have the controlled environments for
Yep.
cigars. And, you could end up with a stick that wasn't, preserved properly. Now, I will say this, most of the lounge owners are pretty attentive to that. But there's a lot of variables with tobacco. I mean, dude, even here in Florida, I mean, it's hard to regulate,
Yep.
the proper temperatures. Um, but yeah, that's one of the things I think is really, really important is, kind of, preserving your tobacco, and obviously the fact that you guys control supply and you guys are kind of a, boutique family ran business. You're able to control those variables more than what a bigger company
Yep.
would.
And that's what
Um,
what used to make the big companies what they were is because they had that quality control.
right.
But I always tell people, smoke what you like. I don't care if it's a $2 cigar or 100.
Yeah.
There's no way I can convince you otherwise, or you can convince me otherwise. What we like is what we like, and that's as long as
Right.
everybody's smoking a cigar and we can get along.
Yeah, man. It's all about the experience and what comes with smoking the cigar. I mean, there's thousands, if not tens of thousands, different cigars on the market. I have guys that work with me, man, that like cigars that I wouldn't even be able to smell,
Yep.
in a room. So it's all personal preference at the end of the day. I think, like I said, we touched on this. What makes this industry so special is that it brings people together. And it's not like the financial industry or the tech industry, where you got to do things with a mask on your face. When you spark a cigar with another person, and you probably see this all the time in your lounge, you're dedicated to an hour conversation with that person as long as you're smoking a Toro and up,
Yep.
which most people in lounges probably do, man. So, pretty interesting, that's how the cigar industry works. So, Cody, let me ask you this, man. Where can people learn some more about your business? And where can they find you guys? Do you guys do any tours? If someone wants to come out to Kentucky and visit Kentucky Gentlemen Cigars and get the rundown on your history and learn some more, uh, what should they do?
So they could go definitely visit our website, www.kentuckygentlemencigars.com. Or we also have a few videos on YouTube. Most of that's from when we first started. So that's a lot of my dad. So that's a lot of rich history you can find out from there. There's a
We'll have to plug
podcast or
that in
two.
here. Yeah,
There's a few podcasts or two he did. So a lot of that's history that he can deeper tell that I was a kid for. So there's some stuff you can learn that even I can't touch on. But our website has a lot of news clippings, articles, photos from a lot of different events we've done. So that can show you some stuff from the early days and how we've developed since then. And then our social medias have a lot of that as well. You can see through our posts and things like that how we've grown and developed and changed marketing, bands, things like that. But a lot of it is sometimes we try and be as simple as possible because our cigar is speaking for it, not really the packaging. So we're not trying to sell you on $12 packaging. We're trying to sell you on the cigar. But that's what's great with, a company like you guys. You can get the best of both worlds. We can
right.
get a great packaging that speaks for itself, but then you get a great cigar that goes with it. So you can get the best of both worlds when usually you kind of pick and choose.
Yeah, and we're really, we're really focused on the boutique community, man, and helping guys that may have not thought it was possible to build their cigar brands get started in the industry. And I don't think we'll stray past that. At least I hope so. So Cody, your dad was a massive figure in the cigar industry and an influence to many people. What is a piece of wisdom he left you with, man, that you've carried on into your life today? Being the fact that you now run the cigar business, man. I mean, what's something that you took away?
Probably what he would want me to say is nobody can be on tougher on me than he was, so it's gonna be easy. But the one thing I learned is probably just how happy seeing the customers made him happy. So like I do it more for the uh the customers and the ambiance of it all, really than just because it was in my family or I like cigars or obviously it's great to sit down, smoke a cigar and say that's
Right.
a part of your work day. But it's
Yeah, yeah.
customers. It really is the customers. People who
You
love
enjoy what
cigars.
you do.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's really what being able to talk with people and it not being necessarily like a business or work that you're talking to. It's kind of like everybody's pastime or something they enjoy. It just makes the conversations off the
Yeah, man.
start just real genuine and good people.
It's like fishing on a nice sunny day, man. A lot of these guys that come into your shop, man, I'm sure they work hardcore jobs, man, and not 9 to 5s, brutal. So, what you do gives them a little bit of peace in their daily routines, man, which is really, really cool. And you're definitely the type of brand owner or cigar industry folk to educate consumers, which I really, really like about you, man. And I think more companies need to do that because there's a lot of people that smoke cigars. There's not many people that have been in the industry that will take time to educate people on the history and what they're smoking and what to expect. And I love that you guys do that. So, Cody, one more time, just for the subscribers and viewers watching this video, what is the website where they can find you guys? And we will make sure that we plug that here on the recording as well.
www.KentuckyGentlemen, MEN, not man, cigars, plural.com.
Fantastic. Well, Cody, man, you are the man. This
Thank
was
you,
long
sir.
overdue.
I
I've
would
been
love it.
excited. Since I started this company, I told myself I was going to get Cody on the line and get a rundown on the history of his company and what they've done and how they've done it. And I'm excited that I finally got the opportunity to do that with you.
Yes, sir.
We've been talking for a while, but I don't think we've actually had the opportunity to sit down and have a 45-minute conversation.
Hey, it's great.
With you and me, man, our
Especially
days
when
are
we're
crazy.
inside, just be able to talk little bit of some other stuff as
Yeah, we're in
well.
and out, boxes, bands, shipment, this
All of
and
it. No,
so,
stop.
man, nonstop, dude. Well, I appreciate your time, and I look forward to chatting with you here in the future. And who knows, man, maybe we can do another segment. Let's get some more people over to Kentucky.
Of course, thank you for you and thank you for all the fans and of course our customers as well.
All right, Cody. Thanks, man.
Hey man,
Chat
have a
soon,
blessed
brother.
night.
All right, bye.